Good evening, this is the Oscar expert here with Brother Bro. We're going to give you a update on what our Best Picture top 10's looking like, some of the outside shots. What do we got at number one? What is the most surefire movie getting nominated this year? It's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Why do we all know this? Why do you know this? Why do I know this? Because it premiered at Cannes, has the rave reviews, everyone loves Tarantino, and it's Oscar fucking bait. So that's at number one. Is it winning Best Picture? No.
It's always hard for, I think, a Tarantino movie to win Best Picture
Well,
because it can't
never
unite
happened.
everybody.
It's getting nominated for a slew of Oscars, a lot of acting awards, technical awards, everything. Little Women is number two. After Lady Bird, it's like Greta Gerwig can only go.
And we know she's getting an upgrade. We know this movie involves period costumes. We know it's going to have lavish cinematography and art direction. It's going to be hard to resist. And Greta Gerwig's going to bring her own little flavor to this movie. And we're all going to love it. And it's going to be an easy shoe-in.
Number three is The Irishman. That's an obvious heavyweight because it's Scorsese, such a consistent director, reuniting with old pals like Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci and throwing Al Pacino into the mix.
Spiritual sequel to Goodfellas.
A dream cast 30 years too late, but they're de-aging them, and that's the only really reason I'm skeptical right now is like the de-aging technology has to really work.
Also, Cole, can an actor who is 80 play a 40 or 30-year-old? Like, can that happen in a realistic way? You know, aren't they going to have to change their voices?
30 or 40.
I think this movie's going over $100 million in the budget. Apparently, it keeps just racking up because they just have to keep like perfecting the CGI for the faces and everything. A giant investment in this movie. I mean, I obviously hope it pays off. This is on most people's most anticipated movie lists.
Number four, I have Harriet, because that's just freaking Oscar bait. It's a movie about Harriet Tubman. Need you say a lot more?
Has there been a movie about Harriet Tubman?
No.
No.
Need to say a lot more.
I don't think this movie has to be even the best movie. I don't think it has to be the most well-made movie this year. It's just a story that's going to be emotional and powerful, and that's why it makes it so easy for this movie to get in. I mean, just on the surface level, as a logline, I think this movie is like the most Oscar bait, perhaps, out of the whole bunch.
But then again, the director hasn't come close to anything of the sort of this caliber of
But
Oscar
maybe this
gold.
is like Hidden Figures or something, where it doesn't matter who the director is.
Possibly, and you do have a great cinematographer. That's the only thing that makes me skeptical. Number five is The Goldfinch. This trailer dropped pretty recently.
The trailer reaction is, wow, this movie looks gorgeous, and I don't really know if I care about the rest of it, but I'll probably end up weeping, and it looks good, and it looks like Oscar bait, and I mean, how could they not nominate that?
What we know is that the book was a huge bestseller. It actually got a little criticism for people thought it was...
It didn't quite hit with the elites.
It didn't quite hit with the elites, so even if this movie doesn't like hit it off like super well with the critics, like this is the kind of movie that is just going to win audiences over because it's just an emotional story and everybody can connect to that.
Yeah.
It's about a boy who lost his mother. There are going to be tearjerker scenes for sure.
That trailer was a showcase for cinematography, and this movie is an absolute lock for that. And he's doing something that looks a little different from his normal style, I think. But every frame in that trailer was gorgeous.
Yeah, it's a little hard to judge actors. I think the second trailer will probably reveal more about that whenever that comes out. But this is just traditional Oscar bait tearjerker movie, and it's the director of Brooklyn. Number six, got The Farewell. This movie still looks strong to me. I mean, I watch this trailer when I go to the theater. This trailer gets me every time it plays. How are people not going to just be like invested emotionally in this movie?
Performances
It just
look
looks
really
like
good.
a great indie movie with great performances.
SAG ensemble standing strong.
Well-written, well-directed movie that has that representation that people are looking for on top of all that.
Yeah, the only hesitation here is that maybe it's just too indie. Because if this movie gets in, I think it's going to be the most indie film in this category.
The July release makes people skeptical, but if it makes a splash, people won't forget it. And seven is 1917.
Didn't have this movie on at all.
We didn't have this movie on. I thought that this movie was coming out next year. That's what I thought at the time of the video, and I apologize to you. Didn't do my research. Didn't do my research.
I don't think it was about research. I think you just didn't
failed my audience. Sam Mendes directing this. He did American Beauty. Nothing since then has been nominated for Best Picture. He's done a war movie before called Jarhead, and that movie people thought was okay. Why is this movie creeping so high up when I learned this movie was one goddamn take? Deacon's one taker. One take movie Deacons. It's pulling a Birdman. It's not actually one take, but like Birdman, it's stitched together to look like it's one.
We don't know
take.
all of that though, Cole. That's the rumor right now.
Why would it be a rumor if it wasn't true? It is true.
On a filmmaking level, this is going to be like a technical masterpiece, and it's going to get cinematography for sure for Roger Deakins. And I mean, he's going into long take territory apparently.
As well known as Deakins is for like cinematography, he's actually not known for long takes.
He's like distinguished from people for like Lubeski for not being a long take man.
It could be a Dunkirk movie. That one take thing is probably just going to make the movie intense, get those sound nominations, get that cinematography win. You get another win for Deakins. I mean, he's also getting like 2 nominations probably. You get another win for Deakins here. It's a filmmaking
They
achievement.
won't be able to ignore it. If it truly is one take, they're not going to be able to ignore it.
War movies are fucking Oscar bait all the time, so that's just how it works. And this movie's coming out at Christmas, so like American Sniper, it's probably going to have to be a late bloomer. So you might not even see it at those festival circuits. Number 8, Queen and Slim. This movie looks to be like the culturally charged movie of the year. Could even be a little too controversial. At best, it could be a Get Out kind of sensation.
Well, and a story that we haven't really seen from a major film studio. I think there's a lot going for this movie, and you've got Daniel Kaluuya in it, who's going to give a fantastic performance. I'm going to bet you that this movie gets nominated for screenplay right now. I'm going to bet you.
This seems like the kind of movie that could even win
for
screenplay.
Original screenplay.
You've got actors in there who are hopefully going to give like really amazing performances. Hopefully some stylish direction. You could have a real hit on this movie's hands. But it's also the kind of riskiness and newness of the movie makes it hard to predict. It's going to...
But they also love the newness. Like, you need the newness.
Yeah, it's going to really have to stand out being original.
New,
Number 9 is Endgame. Because, as you can see, it's not up there because it's by no means a lock. But, like, I still want to say that I called this movie. Right now, it's, like, just trailing Avatar for highest grossing movie of all time. And it's the grand statement of the MCU that made everybody cry in a way that other MCUs haven't, not even Black Panther.
Now, are we going to remember how much we like this movie by the end of the year? Or are critics going to put it on their top 10s? Like, I think these things matter, and I think those are really hard questions to answer, if I'm going to be honest with you.
I feel that people won't forget the movie by the end of the year. I think they'll have a hard time saying that it's just, like, completely dismissed. I think it'll have to be somewhere in the conversation.
It could be dismissed, though, just because it's Marvel. There is some disdain for that, but at the same time, giant fan base. We don't know how many of them have infiltrated the Academy, and so we're holding it out in that lower tier spot because they could have amassed enough of a fan base within the Academy to get some number 1 votes.
It's the highest rated movie on IMDb of the year, and it's going to stay that way.
Will people really be like, oh, number 1 of the year was Avengers Endgame? Like, really? Black Panther was important. This movie's not important. It's hard.
Well, in a way, it is important because it's
important.
It's kind of showcasing itself as being the culmination of this cinematic universe, which this franchise invented,
self-important.
Which changed.
It
changed the industry. It changed the industry.
Itself.
And Marvel has also been consistently pleasing fans for over a decade now. So it's kind of impressive. So
that's like me saying you should give me an award for this juicy, delicious hamburger that I'm going to feed myself, but you didn't get to taste it. Actually, it doesn't make any sense. There's also a huge case against it, which is that this is a freaking lunchbox McDonald's Happy Meal action movie.
Rounding off the top 10 with A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Marielle Heller has so far been extremely consistent in winning over critics. That is to be expected with this next movie, which is about Mr. Rogers. Tom Hanks is playing the man. If it's anything like Won't You Be My Neighbor, there's going to be tissues in the theater.
I think that movie is gonna be a good movie. It will get a high Rotten Tomatoes score and everything.
Oscar bait tearjerker right there, very possibly, very possibly. So that's the top 10. We're on to tier 2. We have 3 tiers total.
Fair and Balanced is the movie this year that's gonna tackle the Fox News Roger Ailes story where there was sexual misconduct allegations from the team.
Right in the middle of that Me Too conversation.
And I suppose it'll also be a satire on Fox News. I don't know how tastefully that's going to come off for people.
Director of Trumbo, Jay Roach, is doing it. I mean, that movie got a lot of actor consideration.
It got a surprisingly big nominations one season. It got SAG Ensemble. What if this movie gets SAG Ensemble?
Makes us think that this movie could be somewhere in contention, worth mentioning here. Ford v Ferrari. We think that this movie could be a little too much of like an action movie.
But I think just as much
film.
it could be a total crowd hit and it gets in. It's The Martian.
It could be The Martian. It could be The Martian, and Matt Damon's in it as well. But a little skeptical about that one, but very curious nonetheless to see how that movie turns out. Personal history of David Copperfield. Could be like this year's The Favorite. Director Armando Iannucci, who did The Death of Stalin and In the Loop and Veep.
Be a funny movie with funny Dev Patel in it.
I don't know. It's based on a Charles Dickens novel.
Yeah, well, he does satire.
Dark comedy. Yes, great satire. Dev Patel's in the lead role. Tilda Swinton's in this movie. It's got period costumes, so it kind of is giving me favorite vibes because this director has been recognized for doing great movies, but hasn't like broken in to an Oscar contender. But this movie could be that for him.
He's gotten screenplay nominations before, just like Yorgos.
Yeah, but we really don't know. The Report. Big buzz at a Sundance. People declared this the Oscar contender of the fest. But it seems like a very dry movie that isn't like exciting people. Like people are like, that was a very good movie. But for the most part, I don't really see people like getting riled up about this movie, especially because it draws so many similarities to The Post and Spotlight, which already happened.
And another movie that's coming out this year.
And we have Woman in the Window, which is Joe Wright's next movie. A director who's gotten movies nominated a couple times. It's got Amy Adams in the lead role. It's kind of like a period Rear Window sort of deal. It's kind of a thriller, which makes us a little skeptical because sometimes these like thrillers don't do it that well at the Oscars. Also on this list, The Laundromat from Steven Soderbergh, written by Scott Z. Burns, who's the one directing The Report. They're so similar. Laundromat's coming to Netflix, which is also like, you know, if you're going to Netflix, you gotta really be like prestige. You know, so far Netflix contenders is like Alfonso fucking Cuarón and Martin fucking Scorsese. Those are movies that can easily overcome Netflix with the directors' names. Laundromat, like, it really is gonna have to stand out in a substantial way.
And I think Steven Soderbergh's movies, they're a little like unaware of the audience lately. They just don't really care about like entertaining you anymore, and they're like, yeah, fuck it. Let's make this 2.5 hours of just talking. He doesn't seem as concerned. I think The Report has better chances anyway, and they're just kind of like going to cancel each other out. But The Laundromat has a stronger cast. They have Meryl Streep in it.
The Rocket Man. You watched our review. You liked the video. We mentioned in that video that we're not super confident that this movie's going to make it into that Best Picture lineup, but obviously it's a crowd-pleasing biopic. It has a chance. Taron Egerton still probably going to go for that Best Actor nomination. We got some outside shots we're going to run through real quick as well. This is Tier 3 territory, folks. And for Tier 3, we brought out Cats, which is Tom Hooper's movie. So much skepticism on this one because it's an adaptation of Cats. It's going to be silly as fuck. And maybe not in the best way.
But it's going to have those costumes, Cole. They got people playing animals. I think this is Tier 2, to be honest, still. I know it's weird. I know it's wonky and silly and goofy and they're having a fun time, but Tom Hooper, that's all I gotta say.
He's been going down since
the King's
Speech, Justin.
No, he hasn't.
Yes, he has. Les Mis Danish Girl. It's literally downward spiral.
I guess that's technically true.
Ad Astra trailer recently came out for this one. Some gunfights on the moon. Looks a little weird. Still really excited for this one because we don't know what it's going to be.
Well, Cole, what was surprising to me about this trailer was that I assumed James Gray, this is going to be like a heady space movie that's totally inaccessible to audiences, but like great for me. And then I watched the trailer and I'm like, this is definitely marketing itself as a Interstellar kind of thing where they want your ass in the theater.
The best we can hope for is like false advertising.
And I didn't see anything that to suggest like exploration of deeper themes in the trailer, but that's something I would expect from James Gray. I'm hoping that it does these things because this is what sci-fi does best, and James Gray himself has said that he intends to explore those themes and make it a personal story, but the trailer didn't suggest any of that. And I don't really have a reason to take this seriously as an Oscar contender outside of visual effects and maybe sound. The Kitchen, which also had a trailer that premiered, and this movie is just Widows. It looks good. It's Widows, but seems more entertaining.
Performances look very solid. Looks like an entertaining movie. Could be a crowd hit. Oscars aren't always too kind to these like crime thrillers. Some of the performances in that trailer really stood out. Tiffany Haddish.
Wow, I think McCarthy looks amazing in that movie.
And I think she looks like Elizabeth Moss. Just great actresses. Todd Haynes has a movie coming out, director of Carol, his movies have always been a little out of reach for that Best Picture nomination.
This one's an environmental activism movie.
Yeah, Mark Ruffalo is starring, playing a lawyer. It's not really a period drama, is it?
No, it sounds a little more on the boring side, but at the same time, he's fighting for what he believes in. I'm sure the guy is an environmental activist, and he's trying to make this like the quintessential movie for that. So maybe that goes somewhere, a little politically charged.
But have a hard time seeing this be his first Best Picture nominee. I would have a hard time seeing that. We got to mention Waves, which is Trey Edwards Schultz's new movie coming
Meaty
out.
Meaty stuff.
Director did Krisha, and then It Comes at Night. We're so excited for anything he does next.
Both masterful films.
Yeah.
Especially Krisha.
And
if you haven't seen Krisha,
this
you
looks
have to see
like kind of this ambitious, offbeat musical movie. We don't know what to expect, and we're curious about the trailer, but it also seems unlikely that this would contend for Oscars, but if it's so good, maybe they can't pass it up.
It's really hard to see, especially because it's about young love. Contemporary musical. It's something we haven't really seen before, and he's not one for convention. He's bold, he takes risks, and apparently the screenplay was like extremely long. Really, really hard to say, but nonetheless one of the most anticipated of the year for both of us.
The Last Thing He Wanted, which is a Addie Reese movie coming to Netflix. She's the director of Mudbound. This movie just seems like a crime mystery thriller, and it's like,
it's nothing,
that doesn't sound like Oscar bait to me.
Nothing.
But some people are saying
people want to say because Addie Reese. And
well, I would like to think that her next movie was going to be an Oscar contender after Mudbound, but
Ben Affleck, Anne Hathaway,
Willem Dafoe,
good cast. Nonetheless, Ben Affleck's in it. What is this?
Jojo Rabbit, a movie we didn't mention in the last video, but figured we might, because it's actually getting a surprising amount of buzz. Waititi is such a unique voice right now, like Hunt for the Wilder People, then he makes a funny-ass Thor movie. He's playing an imaginary Hitler. It's just gonna be like a really kind of kooky movie, but could actually have some serious satire going on that makes it like an excellent movie that could propel it maybe in the screenplay category, maybe get him Best Actor hype. I don't know.
Not so sure about that. I think he could earn a screenplay from it, but I don't really see the movie like propelling into Best Picture. I think that's a weird concept that's really hard to get behind, I think. But well, we got The Lighthouse from Cannes. We talked about that movie. I mean, it's probably going to be one of the best movies of the year, but because it's weird and artsy, probably nothing except for cinematography, despite two seemingly great performances. And then we have Us, which is another masterful film that is one of the best of the year, and unfortunately is not going to see any nominations this Oscar season.
Yeah, we've been calling it since it came out. No nominations are coming for Us. It just doesn't have everybody on board.
Not even
People
score.
are confused.
People are sticking it out for score. Don't do it. Don't do it, man. It's not going to happen. I'm so sorry. I have a special slot in my top 10 for just the movie that comes out of nowhere that we don't even know exists right now that just surprises everybody. Because it happens every single year. Last year it was Green Book.
Well, I saw the trailer and I was like, Peter Farrelly who?
Yeah, exactly. And then
wins?
Before that it's Hidden Figures. Before that it's American Sniper. There's always something.
I remember at Toronto, no one really knew like what Lady Bird was until it premiered at Toronto.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching. If you're going to call it right now, what's winning Best Picture?
Is Toy Story 4 getting nominated for Best Picture? The answer is no. Some people think it's as great as Toy Story 3. Others think it's a little less good than the rest of the movies. But for the most part, amazing reviews. Will it get nominated? The answer is no.
Inside Out didn't get nominated, and that was considered one of the best of the year.
It's just they did it again.
Yeah, it's like they did it again. It's solid. People aren't as head over heels for it as Toy Story 3.
Well, some people are, but I think
Some
even
people
still,
are.
I think still it's not
Probably not
going
gonna happen. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing.
Post your Oscar predictions down below.